Hello everybody, thank you for joining me at Evolutionary Energy Arts once again. So here we are discussing the great earth changes and everything that goes along with it. Other things as well. We will delve into anything that is interesting and along the lines of earth changes, cover-ups, conspiracies, and the like. And so I invite you guys to give a call in. Come and join us here at Evolutionary Energy Arts, and we look forward to your calls. So lots of things going on, tons and tons of things going on right now. As you can see, we are having floods every single day on multiple continents. In you name it, what country, it's pretty much had some major floods. Give me a call here at 614-400-5835. Again, the number is 614-400-5835. And I look forward to fielding your calls and seeing what you guys want to talk about. But as I was saying, floods everywhere. We saw some massive floods in Italy today. We've seen them all over the globe. Many different locations in the United States. As you know, we have a big heat wave going on right now in the Northeast, and at the same time as that heat wave in the Northeast, we have snow in British Columbia and snow in Canada. So the weather has been just absolutely crazy weather. And let me know what you guys are seeing. I could tell you down here in Florida, we have had some intense storms, just intense. The lightning has been just different, unusual. I have never heard thunder last for so long as what I heard today, while we had some big storms going on. And the clouds have been just bizarre. All sorts of formations. I don't know if you guys caught my video this morning. I mean, perfectly square clouds. When do you see perfectly square clouds? That's something that shouldn't really ever happen. Thank you for calling in. Who am I speaking with?
Hey.
How are you?
Great. How are you, Michael?
Doing well tonight. So what would you like to talk about?
This Annapolis shooting.
Do you think it's part of a psyop, or?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that it is. The supposed shooter, worked at NSA, and he's multi-generational military intelligence.
Yeah, it wouldn't doubt me. I wouldn't doubt it at all. There's been so many of these, and it makes you wonder about like the MK Ultra projects, the mind control projects, and just turning the people on and setting them off.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he lived in Laurel, and the NSA's over there. There's an NSA facility in Laurel, and his brother worked with the NSA as well, Miguel Ramos, and so there's no doubt that this was a staged op, and that brings up the question of where are they putting all these people that are supposedly being killed. And it appears that it's certainly plausible that they're not dying and they're going into some kind of witness protection program, perhaps over in Israel. And that also applies to like the Bourdain incident and these other ones as well. The Seth Rich, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And it's like, as time has gone on, all the things that we thought were really far-fetched and out there, they really weren't so far-fetched. Such as things like this. And am I the only one that thought that guy looked so familiar? Like he was an actor or something, or like I've seen him somewhere else before?
Right. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, he certainly looked, you know, I don't know. There's this guy with the Virginia militia who puts together videos, and he's the one who put together the video regarding this. At first, I thought it was just a spontaneous thing, and because there were like court cases and all that, but that's really easy to put together, after the fact, and they can even go in and change records and create false entries in the at the courthouse, after the fact, in order to make it appear that there was a history with this particular newspaper. And so my theory is that they can turn these guys loose and kill some people that they want dead, and then the other ones, that they want to fake their deaths, they can then move them off into witness protection programs in Israel. Because I don't know if you followed this, but remember how Eric Braverman supposedly disappeared for a long period of time, and then he turned up in England at a seminar, some security seminar. And are you familiar with Eric Braverman?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So anyway, certainly seems like there's some very funny business going on here, and it's not funny at all, because these are supposedly real people being killed, and I don't put it past them at all to actually kill people, because if they're going to be this evil, then the sky's the limit in terms of the body count. I mean, they're pro-abortion, all this stuff, and so it's not like they're trying to be good. They're clearly evil, and so then the sky's the limit in terms of that. And actually, the bigger the evil, the better, especially if you can get innocent people to pay the price for what these evil people have done. That's like the ultimate coup. I don't know if you know what I'm saying or not.
Yeah. I mean, I get where you're going with that, and I just wonder, as we've talked about so many different things going on, is it mostly distraction? There's people that think it's all distraction. There's people that think that these things are all blood sacrifice to demons and devils. What is really the purpose? And I mean, some of it's obvious, because we had 9/11, and all of a sudden we have Homeland Security. We have all these different laws that go into place to really enact the total police state. But is that really just the main purpose, or is there other things going on?
Well, it seems like they like to kill many birds with one stone. And so, for example, 9/11 was, they wanted to take out that building anyway. Remember Larry Silverstein? They needed to demo that building anyway. And, if it's full of people, all the better, because if you're evil, and it justifies the war and the whole police state and, the whole 9 yards. And so, anyway, those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree. And, as I've said before in other videos, obviously we're all waking up. More people than ever are waking up. And, they are way outnumbered. And what if we get to the point where, the military is even, saying, screw you, we understand what's going on, we know the manipulation, and we're not going to go along with it. Is that part of this huge AI push and high-tech push where we'll have kind of a Terminator situation? It seems like that's what's building, It
really does, because it also seems like they're waiting to release all this high technology for after a big purge, a huge call, and it's like they want us to kill each other off so they don't have to deal with us, and if not that, then they'll gladly stage all these different ops. And right, so anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, those are really good thoughts. It's just interesting. And there's so many pieces to the puzzle, and like you were saying, there probably are many different purposes behind any one event.
Right, exactly. And so if they can get, a whole bunch of stuff to kill many birds with one stone, as it were, all the better.
And I still go back to Deagle and Agenda 21 map. The map that showed those population decreases again, just in really the NATO countries and the U.S. and U.S. allies, and they matched up so well with the Deagle.com, which Deagle, some people will bring up and say the Department of Defense, Edwin Deagle, his name is spelled L-E, I think, and the website is E-L, but it's one of those little psyop things. If you look at that website, they're all about military equipment. It's not a website that's run by a bunch of teenage kids, as they like to portray it, in their spare time for ha-has. Who would do that? Keep track of, all these different sales of military equipment, movement of equipment, new technological advances, everything military. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. So it does seem like they always have to kind of disclose a little bit what's going on. Like they got to let us know, and maybe that's how they circumvent some powers that be that are out there. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. And yeah, I think they call that predictive programming, where they feel that if they don't tell us what they're about to do, well, how do I put this? So it's like they want to make sure that that they're not wrong at all. And it's like, look, we warned you, and you just didn't notice, but at least we gave you fair warning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Somehow they think that absolves them.
Yeah, you look at all those things, like you probably know, like if you looked at the Matrix, Neo's passport expired on 9/11. 9/11/2001. I mean, what's the chance of that?
Exactly. That movie was before 9/11, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was before 9/11. Passport expired on 9/11/01. That was just such a, slap in the face, a middle finger, any way you want to put it. It was very, very interesting. Crazy, really.
Well, thanks.
Well,
thanks a lot, Mike.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks a lot for calling in.
You got it.
Yeah, take care. So that was a interesting call there, and give a call in, and let's see what you guys want to discuss. There's so many coincidences with that. I mean, it's not a coincidence, obviously. I mean, did you guys know that if you look at it, when Neo shows his passport, and this is pre-September 11th, 01, it says that it expires on September 11th, 01. Hello, my friend. You're on the air. And who do we have with us?
Hey, Michael. It's Scott. How are you?
Good, Scott. Good to hear from you.
You as well. I'm very interested in the rest of this video. There are some things I would like to go over, but I don't want to take a whole lot of time because I think my intent or focus now is not so much on the changes that we're seeing, both what could be and what has been, but more focused on what we can do about it now. And I've discussed the potential of a portal type of a system for us to use, or talked about how we would talk about some computers and other stuff, and that's one of the things. The other one I want to talk about is family. That I picked up from your other video, and I hope I don't forget that by the end.
Sure.
But I do want to say that one of my main purposes, and I just left one of my other channels, that I'm a part of that family, and I'm pointing those people in your direction. And I'm already discussed with you, and I don't want to give the name of that channel yet because I want you to decide for yourself whether or not you're okay joining the other way. But I think my initiative right now is hoping to be able to find these people like us that are like-minded and join us together. Your initiative to find people in different areas and match skills and things like that, I think it's phenomenal. And I think I have the ability to create the tools for you. My background, although I'm not computer trained, is global enterprise web developer, MCSE instructor, top-level technical trainer. So I fought the system that kept trying to maybe manipulate me to do things I wasn't able to do, but at the same time was able to learn the skills that now that I don't see this as being a profitable venture, I feel more comfortable possibly doing this. And I'm hoping we're able to discuss that type of stuff more. And there's a lot more details of things that we can do if we put a role-based system in where people have control of that medium that we're using to communicate. And I will get into more detail of that if you're interested. Now switching over, and I'm glad I didn't forget the fasting thing that you were talking about. I just found it interesting because I've even had this conversation a couple times in the last few days about something that I did myself about 4 or 5 years ago. And I tell people when I tell the story, I said, don't get caught in my details, because I believe that I was very wrong in how I do it, and I was second guessing. I was telling people that it was more the placebo effect, the fact that I believed that what I was doing was going to work. Watching your video today about the fasting actually paralleled exactly to what I was doing, and it made me understand that what I was doing wasn't just a placebo. And all I would tell people is that 4 or 5 years ago, I just would stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, and I wouldn't eat until 2 o'clock the next afternoon. And it didn't matter what I ate. I didn't want to count calories. I didn't want to not have double baked maters and so forth. But during the first 3.5 months of that 4-month period I did it, I lost 80 pounds. I went back to my high school weight. And all of these things were fixing in me. I didn't know until yesterday that I was actually following what you were trying to teach people. And I have known since I've met you that the things you're trying to teach people are true. And that's kind of why I wanted to come on board on your team. And I'm really looking between you and Mr. MVP 333 and this other group of people that I've talked to you about, texted before this call, that I think with all of us together, we might find that we have the sort of all of the skills within each of us as a bigger family to kind of push this whole initiative up to the next level. I don't know your thoughts on that yet, and I would just like to maybe keep this communication open. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be connected to the internet. As I've told you already, I'm having a battle financially with Rogers and so forth, but it's my choice. I made the decisions to leave the working world 4 years ago. That's on me. I'm not here to fix that. While I'm here, though, I want to make sure that I maybe do my part, and I think this is somewhere that I can help, and I'm hoping for the opportunity. I'm pretty sure that in this other channel, we've got a good flow going, and we're in that same mentality now. Let's join similar group families, share the love, power up, and see what we can do in this world.
Yeah, those are all great thoughts, and I mean, Mr. MBB, I love his channel, and you know, he's just got such a good way about him, and you know, just I've enjoyed him for years. And the other one I'm going to just check out a little bit. I honestly had never watched any of his videos, but I just wanted to take a look and see. Yeah, as far as technical stuff, if you're familiar with me, I'm not great technically. So, you know, I wouldn't say I'm horribly technically challenged, but I'm not great. I'll just admit it. So yeah, help would be wonderful. And yeah, we're definitely trying to link together people, and we've had quite a few people offer their expertise in different things as we try to link up and become a more cohesive family, and then joining bigger families together will be wonderful as well.
Well, and that's why I think that even just putting some sort of a portal in place that allows this works well. Like I came from a background of working on BlackBerry global servers and biz servers and BES servers, and from both a support perspective and a development perspective. So I'm very fluent on what we can do with roles and permissions and users and so forth. And I'm also very fluent on how that gets manipulated very much in the business world. But if we can drop it to an object-oriented mentality with our purpose in mind, I think we're going to be able to have very quickly at our fingertips, be able to know where our skills are, who can do what. Even for me, I can present to you all of the portal stuff. You guys won't need me at that point, because I'm sure in our families we have people that are developers on all levels, whether it just be HTML, whether it be AJAX stuff that they know, whether it be C# that they use, whether it be V.2, whatever. I'm sure that within this family we have a lot of people. I mean, I think the Open World Community of Programmers was built based on people that just had enough with how technology is being used against us. I think it's time we start using it for us instead. And that's what partially why I'm trying to help. But it's more what I'm seeing is a lot of good people in different channels now that I think if we put together, we become even more powerful and control our future maybe a little more fluidly.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then yeah, with the intermittent fasting, it works wonders. Fasting does as well. I find the intermittent to be just such an easy way to do it. It actually gets to be just habit, and it gets to be a piece of cake, and it's something you won't even notice that you're doing after a while. If you're like me, when I wake up, if I woke up at say 8 o'clock, I'm really not going to want any food till like around noon anyway. I just, I like to have a cup or two of coffee and get motivated and start like, figuring out what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. So, and then I get wrapped up in making a video. Before I know it, 4 or 5 hours is gone. And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm ready to eat. So it's 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then it's so easy just to, eat something then, eat something again, maybe at 6, and you're done. And it gives your body a time to rest, to process, and to break down the stuff that is going awry. Cancerous cells, things that aren't performing optimally. That's what the body will break down first if it's given the chance. So when we're constantly ingesting all around the clock, as soon as we get up all the way to bedtime, we're never giving our body a break. You could also, fast, of course, 1 day a week. So I know a lot of people that do that. They'll just do like a water fast 1 day a week. I know other people that will fast 3 days a month. So they'll pick like one weekend and just do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I've tried all those things. I find intermittent fasting is by far the easiest. And then I just kind of tweak it down. So, maybe I'd start with a 16-8. 16 hours fasting, eating 8 hours. Then next week it might be down to 6 hours. And then maybe about 2-3 weeks later I'll go down and just eat in a 4-hour window. And I know bodybuilders that would do this and just eat in a 4-hour window, and they're built like bodybuilders. And they have no problem keeping body fat off, because this gets your body to do what it was doing naturally. Because when you go way back, we were hunter-gatherers, and so that's kind of like how our body was built to be. We wouldn't eat constantly. I mean, you might have some, berries come your way or whatever it was, but generally, big meals were few and far between. And it really does give a chance for the mind to clear and for the body to rest. And so your body will just function better as well.
I agree. And I think strengthening that point, I think, as well, is after you become accustomed to that. Because I did it, like I said, until you told me yesterday, I thought I did it wrong. After your video, maybe today, sorry. After your video, I realized that I was actually doing something correct. Now, I did it for a period of 4 months because I lost the weight, and that was my only goal. But having done that, I am now at the point where my partner Vicky and I, we have to every day ask ourselves if we ate. And there are days we just don't eat and don't realize it. There's days we look at each other and it's like 8 o'clock at night. Have you eaten? No, have you eaten? And then are we hungry? And then we have to actually sit there and figure out whether we're hungry or whether this energy we have is just other energy. And we eat in that respect. And what it allowed me to do is never have to think about eating per se, but eat when I think I need to. And that kind of freed me to kind of step outside of this world and continue living the lessons that I learned while I was in it. Even though, like I said, until I saw your video, I would tell people, don't, but I do, just believe in whatever you do, because I thought I had done the wrong thing. And I want to thank you for that. Your video kind of reinforced okay, now I can give details about what I did, because I maybe didn't do it the wrong way. I wasn't just the lucky coincidence, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Sure. And that's, I think this is all great stuff to touch on. And, that's really a lot of my background is in the health and fitness. I've been into it since I was 12. So besides studying energy and all, it all goes together, really, because, with the energy, we're addressing the energy bodies, which are just as real as the physical body. And then, of course, nutritionally, there's things we could do that will definitely help out our physical body as well. And think nutrients, because so many foods are, it's in today's world and our SAD diet, standard American diet, if you're looking at processed foods, usually they're nutritionally deficient but calorically dense. When you look at nature's foods like blueberries and spinach and things along those lines, there you have stuff that is nutritionally dense and calorically, not. And so it's wonderful because you could eat a lot of good healthy food and not really add up a lot of calories, but still give you a lot of good nutrition. And fruits and veggies are all loaded with water, and if we're anywhere from 65 to 80% water for most people, so that is so important too, taking in enough water just by eating fruits and veggies. And of course, what we're getting nowadays is nowhere near as good as the food was like 100 years ago. As far as the soil is so depleted that the fruits and veggies that we have nowadays, especially the ones that are not organically grown, they just don't have the nutrition that they used to have before. And so in so many cases, people are nutritionally deficient, even though they might take in twice the calories they need to. They're still lacking. And when you take in like multivitamins and all, they're good insurance policies, but it's always better to get it from nature.
As with everything I've heard you say, I agree completely.
Well,
and I'm going to say, you have a wealth of knowledge I want to tap into as well. All of the things I wouldn't allow myself to research that I now hear with you, and it resonates with my own thoughts. I'm very looking forward to learning the things that I haven't from you, because I know we speak the same language. And I do honestly still, I hate going back to that portal point, that web type of application. But I think just the ability to interact with that allows us to put all of these together in something that's not maybe just a bunch of static YouTube videos. And I'm not saying there's no power in those videos, but I'm saying when we branch together and we create a depot of all of this information collectively that anybody could access with their own fingertips, I think the people that need this information or that are looking for this information will find it more instantaneously, as opposed to maybe somebody saying, I heard a video a couple weeks ago and I think it was this guy, and I didn't spend a lot of time searching for things where we can actually just create a common spot where those types of that type of information is available, and we can remove a lot of the searching that people find for these answers, because they're powerful and they're changing people's lives every day. I think we can just expedient that up, make it grow a little more logarithmic, maybe.
that sounds wonderful, Scott. Definitely.
And on that note, I want to make some room, hopefully, for some other callers and ideas and so forth. I definitely do not want to hijack this call. But as I told you, I've got a couple more days at least where I'm going to be connected to the net and so forth. I will try to make sure I get reconnected at some point if I do lose connection. But at some point, if you have time, and I know you're overly busy right now, but if you do want to talk more about these ideas, let me know. Reach out to me. I will probably give you an email address in case my phone goes down before that. But we'll see where that goes. Every day is a new day, right?
It is. Well, thank you so much, my brother, and we'll definitely talk more. I really appreciate you.
Namaste, brother. Love you.
Love you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
So that was a good caller there. That was Scott. Some really good stuff. He obviously has good knowledge of technical things, which that is a deficiency in me. I could build some things. I've done some construction, but I'm no computer expert. I could just get by. But I do know the body, and I know the energy bodies as well. So I have that covered. I have a good holistic knowledge of what a human being is, energetically as well as physically. That's one of my strong suits. And also the earth changes. So whatever you guys want to call and talk about, please do. Give a call in, and let's see what you guys got on your mind. And it could be any of these topics that we're talking about, whether you want to keep going and talk more about detoxing, which, we got to detox every single day in this world. We're getting hit from all angles. Our food doesn't have as much nutritional value in it. And of course, there's GMOs mixed up in it. And we have lovely Monsanto with all their toxins spread all around us. We have the chemtrails in the sky. And besides aluminum and barium in the chemtrails, I've seen many studies that have shown biological agents in there as well as sources talking about viruses and bacteria in them as well. So we need to really be always detoxing. So again, 614-400-5835, 877-400-5835 and give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking about. And fasting is something I started doing when I was around 12. And I was inspired really by reading the Bible. At 11, that was the first time I read the Bible on my own from cover to cover. And I was actually dragging my mother to church at that time because I wanted to go. And I've just always had this big curiosity inside. And it stemmed from when I was 5 years old and my brother died of a brain tumor. And he was 11 years older than me. And he was sick from the time he was 5 years old, and he died at 16, and I was 5. And so I just, had that need to know. I got to need to know, where did he go? And so that spurred me down that path. And after studying the Bible, I started to study into the Eastern traditions as well. And, it's delved into Buddhism deeply, Taoism, you name it. I think I've covered every major religion I could think of, including like the Baha'i faith and Zoroastrianism. I mean, all the obscure ones. And it's been an interesting road, and there's so much out there to explore and to learn. And human beings are very, very interesting creatures. So what you guys feel like talking about? Let me know what's on your mind again, 614-400-5835. And give us a call and let us know what you want to talk about. So in today's news also, we had an Iranian general basically saying that the Israelis are stealing their clouds. They're hijacking their clouds and taking their water so that it's not raining, and that's going to cause crop failures, which we are seeing around the globe anyway. So how big are these weather wars that are going on? Do you believe there's weather wars going on, or do you think this is all natural? There's no man-made part to this? Because, I think definitely there's both going on personally. But I found it interesting that the Iranian general was just out there in the open saying that Israel is stealing their clouds. And we also have a story that they're talking about an iceberg, cutting an iceberg away from Antarctica in order to bring it to Cape Town, South Africa. Hello, caller. Thank you for joining us, Evolutionary Energy Arts. Who do we have with us?
My name is Kim.
Hi, Kim. Well, thank you for calling.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
And what would you like to talk about?
Actually, I have a question for you. I've only been listening to your channel for a couple months now, and I love it. So thank you for your work that you do.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could kind of forecast for us, just with your, knowledge base of the social changes that are going on and the political changes that are going on and the earth changes that are going on, what the next year looks like for us.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. It's one of those things that I think about all the time, and I confer with my closest friends, and that I feel are very, very knowledgeable. I think it's a safe bet to say that earth change wise it's going to keep going the way it's going. So this was really the first year that we're really truly going into the grand solar minimum. So, and we could see what's happened with the weather, just how it's gotten just so crazy so quick. So I would expect for sure that we'll see the winter this year to be much more severe than last year. So if you're up in, if you're up in Maine, if you're up in Oregon, all throughout the northern tier states, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, all through there, it's going to be really, really cold. So the cold's going to really settle in. We have a lot of crop losses already, for multiple reasons. A lot of crops couldn't get in the ground in time because of all the flooding and everything going on. Well, first off, it was too cold to plant, and then now you have the flooding. So, yeah, you're going to see a steady increase in food prices and energy prices. Those things are going to just keep increasing.
I think just to add to that, not only have there been crop losses because of, like you say, not being able to plant, but gas prices are high, which affects the farmers, which affects their bottom line, yada yada.
Yes.
It's kind of a convoluted mess. We're already seeing grain and hay prices where I live much higher than last year. So that's kind of an added bummer, to say the least. But please continue. Sorry for interjecting.
Oh, no, that's great. No, I like your interjecting and let me know. It's wonderful to hear what's going on from people in different parts of the country. So, that's always wonderful. That's how we learn. So, yeah, just talking from, like, so many people in this family, too, the Evolutionary Energy Arts family, because quite a few of you guys are farmers. And you're seeing it, you're feeling it, and so everybody is going to see and feel it in the stores. And when we get to like October and November, we're going to really be noticing the price increase and the lack of stuff. And then come next spring, that's really going to be sticking out. So you're definitely going to see that going on. As far as the earth changes, the volcanoes have been going off like crazy. I think the next series that we'll see will be up in Alaska, and then also more down in South America, and eventually we'll have the ones in the Pacific Northwest going off as well. So it's really going to keep increasing there, and that's going to all just make it get colder and colder, quicker and quicker. And then you're going to get a lot more unrest. When we look at history, this type of conditions, they always lead to wars, and then they lead to famine. So that's part of what's going on. And like I was saying today, you got Iran accusing Israel of taking their clouds in their water, manipulating the weather, which Israel probably could. The U.S. can, and China can. We know that. So we do have those weather wars going on, I believe. I think that's pretty much a certainty. So I think part of what we're seeing with all these tariffs, and it says to me in my gut that a lot of this is like, the producing countries maybe wanting to hold on to what they're producing as well, because they know there's going to be such shortages. So with the U.S., I mean, we're fracking like crazy, and there's a reason why we're fracking like crazy. Partly it's probably because they know what's going to happen with the energy demand in a world that's so much colder, as well as the food loss, and we produce a lot of food. So the countries that need to import a ton of food, they're going to be in trouble. And it's just going to be an increase as far as that goes. Big question mark on like when do we start to see the major earthquakes roll in? That I don't know, because I've been a little bit surprised by lack of bigger earthquakes, but I could only surmise it's because of the volcanoes letting off steam.
I don't know. I will, just to throw something in, I follow Dutch Sense. I don't know if you follow him.
Oh yeah.
Following him for a couple years now, and there seems to be a noticeable increase. It used to be that we had 3 to 3.5 magnitude pressure transfers around the globe, and then it kind of upticked last year in September to like 4, 4.5, and now we're at pretty steady 5 to 5.5 pressure transfers. That feels to me like a pretty substantial increase over the last 2 years. So who knows what, if that's going to keep going at the same rate of magnitude increase. Are we going to be looking at 6 magnitude 6 and 6.5 pressure transfers, in the next 6 months? That's going to be pretty substantial.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's coming. We're overdue for some big ones, because the big earthquakes were constantly ramping up, and we're seeing more of those each decade, as far as like the 7s, pluses, 8s. And then this year, which was supposed to be one of the mega quakes, we really haven't had hardly any. As far as that, we've had a huge increase in the number of quakes, especially because of Hawaii. They're averaging 500 to 700 a day in a 24-hour period now, consistently. So, but as far as like those big, 7 point somethings and 8s, which we should have had more of, by the way it was going. The only thing I can think of is the volcanoes must be doing it, as far as letting off steam, but I'm sure they'll be coming back online at some point. And then of course the other thing too is always worry about the tsunami potential with of course the Helena slump in Hawaii, and then over also in the Canary Islands, which that's one that always is scary for me being on the East Coast.
Well, and then you've got, if the Cascadia Fault decides to go, then you've got a whole nother
Yes.
ball of wax.
And that's so overdue, really.
Yeah.
And like Dutch has said, that's been a slow slip. The whole Pacific plate has just been slow slipping for the longest time. And so it's just a matter of when, is it going to hit? But there's other things in play too, politically, and as the first caller was talking about, and how we were getting into it a little bit about Deagle.com and Agenda 21. They have their plans. The shadow governments had their plans, and when you look at all the prophecies of just about everybody out there, they all see a period where we do have a third world war. And there's also kind of this revolution / civil war going on. So that, I think, is always kind of at risk. What I've gotten from sources is more around that 2021 time frame to 2024. And if you look at Agenda 21's map and Deagle.com, the world in 2025 is a totally different world than it is now.
Right.
We lose, according to them, we lose over 500 million people. So it's scary. There's definitely going to be big changes, but I think the thing right now is going to be the cold and the food, and definitely the rising costs as far as energy and food.
Which will usher in all the other major social changes for sure.
Yes.
If not more.
Exactly.
Do you feel that we are in a current, soft civil war? I've heard that term thrown around, and, I don't watch television. I can, go view it on my TV, so I don't really, or my phone, so I don't really know what the general population sees and hears. I don't know if you can speak to that. I live in Oregon. I live in the high desert, so in the central part of the state, and just what went on in Portland just kind of made me tilt my head to the side and go, okay, so you hear pundits on different alternative news sources talking about that we're in a soft civil war. And do you really feel like we're there yet? I really don't.
I think they're trying to make it.
Yeah.
I think they're manipulating it, and that's part of their plan. I even think, I felt right away, honestly, my gut told me that with Trump getting elected, what they were trying to do is bring in the person that's going to be the most divisive, where you're going to have people that just love him and just, so embrace him, and then you're going to have people that just, it's not that they don't like him, they hate him. And
yeah, vehemently. I mean, just bad.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the core.
My own sister almost ended her relationship of 14 years because she voted one way, he voted the other, and she said, I don't know if you could be in this house anymore. Totally serious.
That was kind of the social change that I was mostly I just wanted to see where you were at and if we were really truly on the same page, to be honest with you. But the social change that is going on is, I think, the most disturbing to me because of things like that. People ending relationships and friendships and families splitting apart simply because of a different belief system.
Exactly.
And what I don't understand is I've voted all over the map. I can't tell you that I'm conservative or liberal or Republican or Democrat. I've always taken each candidate on their own merits and voted all over the place. And I don't recall a period in history when people would get so incredibly angry at the choice that the voters have made. I mean, the voters voted. Unless the voting pool is completely wrong, the voters voted this man Trump in. And there's a certain segment of the population that is so pissed about that and angry that, I mean, there was an entire segment of the population that didn't want Obama too, but that didn't happen then. Have we changed that much in 4 years, 2 years, or is something else going on?
There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. This is what we have to be aware of, and part of this is we're being manipulated through the fluoride in the water. We're being manipulated in so many ways. 5G, they have so much technology where they can affect our emotions and the way we feel. Like, negative ions make you feel good. Positive ions make you feel bad. So they could use these type of things on a crowd and cause people that were, a little bit edgy to get really edgy and cause nightmares to happen and huge, fights to break out. And, that's part of the manipulation that's going on right now. They could control things through technology and make these.
They can incite mob mentality.
Totally. Oh, absolutely. Totally. The technology is there.
That's really frightening.
And when you think about, who used fluoride in the water, it was the Nazis. And then Operation Paperclip, where did most of the Nazi scientists go? They came here. And so, the philosophies and stuff have been ingrained in the U.S., and especially in the military-industrial complex side of it. And so it's a scary thing, but they are totally planning on us having a civil war. They want to make this, they want to build it up. And that way then they could create the total police state. But I don't know, my gut, I've had dreams all my life going back to I was, basically in my teens. And I've seen that in my dreams. I've seen basically a situation where the U.S. is attacked, invaded, and it's just kind of anarchy. And so, sharing with you guys as far as places, I think the safest place would probably be out of the U.S. in the long run, honestly. I don't know how safe it's going to be in the U.S. in the long run. And I do think that they have to tell us what they're doing, in a sense. And it's even there in the Bible, really, because the only one that makes sense for Babylon the Great is truly the U.S. It's if we take it in modern terms and not look at it as Rome. But then also when you look at all these other prophecies, and I do think that we are connected through a super consciousness, and I also believe just through science and everything I've learned looking at the mystery traditions that time is a 3D illusion, so everything is kind of already in play. But I do think that we do have power. So I do believe in we're getting deep, but multiple timelines and basically timeline jumping. So it is important to stay positive, to be aware of what's going on, but also not to give in to the fear, and then to counteract what they want by maintaining a vision of what we want. And so, coming together as a people and being, positive. And
I don't think there's fear. You could go that route, but I really feel like if God put it on your heart that you need to, be aware of what's going on, or, there's so many, it's all about semantics. There's so many different ways to say this. If you've taken the red pill and,
yes,
and you're aware, you see that something is coming. Really, it's not about being afraid. It should be about getting prepared. Preparing yourself spiritually, preparing yourself mentally, preparing yourself with whatever things you think you're going to need to get through a hard winter, to get where I'm going. I think it's more of a call to get your proverbial ducks in a row than, to jump into the fear route. That's how I see it.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, we have to be aware. I mean, we can't have our heads in the sand and not know what's going on. And when you do see it, then it's also obvious. And it's almost laughable to look at like CNN and MSNBC and Fox, and I mean it's so
a joke.
obvious.
It really is. Yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah, it is totally. Completely, it's so easy to see through. But then sometimes people that are not awake, it could be painful for them, and they don't want to be awake. They just don't want to. So they're just kind of like humming la 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 la. I can't hear you. Because they just don't want to be awake.
Well, change is difficult for people. They'd rather continue on in some kind of miserable existence because it's what they know, than make the decision to change and do something differently and live a better, healthy, more holistic life, because there's change involved. It's for many people much easier just to keep trugging along and complaining about it all as they go.
Right. Yeah. If you remember the original Matrix, when the guy I forgot what his name was, but when he betrayed them, he wanted to get put back in.
Right.
It's like, let me back in. I don't want to know this anymore. I don't want to experience reality anymore.
Right.
So yeah, it's something that maybe a lot of people just don't want to know. Although it's getting to be so obvious, I think, for most of us. More and more people are waking up all the time.
I'm curious how much more it's going to take, but maybe having their heads in the sand is like a permanent piece of business. I don't know.
But the thing is, those people can be manipulated, because those are the people that are, staunch Democrats or staunch Republicans, or they're fundamentalist, in whatever religion they're in, where they just can't believe anybody else has, any truth. And that's dangerous. That's when we get the witch burnings. That's when we get the book burnings. That's when we get, all these type of, historically negative things happening, because people are much easier to manipulate when they're like that.
That's true. That's true. Well, I'm going to drop and let another caller come in, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too, Kim. It was great talking to you.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Take care. Hello, and thanks for calling Evolutionary Energy Arts. Who do we have with us?
Hey, Michael, it's KJ, New York City.
Hey there, KJ. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Doing real well. So what's happening
Excellent.
up that way? Are you broiling?
Well, we finally cooled off a little bit today. It's not so bad. We had a little storm come through, and it's still kind of hot up here, but by the weekend they said it's going to cool off, so it's not too terrible.
Well, that's good. That's good. So what do you feel like talking about tonight, KJ?
Actually, you know what I want to talk about? Because I noticed some people in the chat room were mentioning Monsanto that was bought out by Bayer, and what's going on with Germany. And, a lot of people fail to, they just don't even understand the history of Germany, or how much really the position that they have and what they play in the world scheme of things. Right now they have some serious issues going on with 3 massive corporation companies based in Germany. You've got, Bayer basically now owns Monsanto, and you've got the scandal at Volkswagen where they had to pay, like a ridiculous couple $1 billion fine because of, some illegal stuff we're doing. And then you got Deutsche Bank, which is one of the biggest banks in all of Europe and pretty much most of the world. I mean, they were pretty big here. People don't understand and if you don't really follow what's going on in Germany, you really don't, know what this is all about. And like you were saying also about how people are manipulated, let's face it, when you see these people protesting thing. Not all people, let's face it, the majority of people you see at protests, whether it's against Trump, whether it's the freedom people, whether it's the Antifa people, I mean, these aren't exactly the brightest Crayolas in the box. These aren't the most highly educated people. These tend to be almost like as rabid as sports fans. And that's kind of what I equate the whole political realm now. All of a sudden, people have taken on the sports mentality. They call them fans, which is derived from fanatic. And, they used to say that about Hitler's followers, how they were mesmerized and fanatics. And so the mindset is there, and most people, they really only want to know just enough information to basically fortify their position. They really don't want to know the whole story, but just whatever it takes to get them pumped up and riled up and angry.
Right.
As far as...
KJ, I hate to interrupt you right now. We're going to go to break for 4 minutes, so can you hang with me? Can you hang with me for the 4 minutes?
Definitely, brother. I got it.
Okay, great. Hang in there.
Unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Join me weekdays for my new show, Tell Chris Joe. It's going to be a problem show brought to you live from Kensington. Thursdays, I'm dealing with hot topics, heated debate, what's new around the world, and ring-ins to discuss listeners' problems and offering considered and heartfelt solutions. So join me, Chris Hart, for Tell Chris Joe. Stop what you're doing, grab a cup of tea. I'm coming live from Kensington. Relax, let me entertain you with a coffee bar online. Listeners' very personal problems. So that's Thursdays, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. See you there. It's going to be lots of fun.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Let Nightlight provide you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're back with KJ. KJ, are you still with me?
Yes, I am, Michael.
Okay, so sorry for the interruption, my brother, but let me know where we were now.
No, not at all. I completely understand. Got to pay the bills. Well, what we would do, when I was kind of just, I was throwing a bunch of stuff out there, but I was kind of relating it to the mindset of, how everybody kind of thinks, oh, it's 5G and all these things and fluoride. I understand kind of the premise behind thinking all that, but the reality is it doesn't take much to rile up the knuckleheads of society. I mean, you just go to any baseball game, classic example is a Yankees-Boston game. And, so it doesn't take much to get these people riled up and heated over really not much. So at this point, I feel if there's any kind of conspiracy, now I'm a Christian, okay, so, the way we look at it personally and the people in my sect of life and where I'm at, everybody else thinks the world is falling apart. We think it's falling into place. So as far as we're concerned, we're walking in our light and our path, and we're exactly where we should be. So we don't believe that there's any one place on the actual physical planet that is any safer or less safe to be when the proverbial, crapola hits the fan. That being said, that's also a part of, like I say, being, I guess, just a little more above the fray. And, don't get me wrong, I understand, the perspective, of the mindset of these people, because a lot of people, just within their own lives, are very frustrated. Okay, and this is just from their own existence. It has nothing to do with politics, religion, and it's just, so they're already kind of in this turmoil, and they're already in this mindset, and it's almost as if they kind of get off on having something else to get revved up about. And it's hard and it's painful to see that in people, and I actually feel for people, and I would hope that people can ascend from that mindset and understand that that's exactly what the powers that be want. That's their main focus and goal, is how can we keep these people revved up? How can we keep them on the edge of their seat, ready to burst, ready to go? Obviously, throughout society and every civilization, it's always, divide and conquer. And now, because there's so many ways to do it, whether it's the news, social media, you name it. There's just so many ways to really get out these, messages, which for the most part are either, it's misinformation or disinformation, as we call it. But it's just a way to keep the masses of people, kind of at each other's throats and angry and just all revved up. As far as the Civil War, and I say this to all my friends living here in New York, and I tell people, if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast of America, chances are you don't own a gun, okay, especially in a major city. The people that do own the guns in these areas tend not to be the nicest people, and again, when the crap hits the fan, they're probably going to use those guns against you. Now, the majority of people that have the guns are in the middle of America, the flyover states, as they call it. They're pretty well trained, they're fairly well conservative, and they have all the guns and ammunition that you could never even imagine. So, push comes to shove, I don't know if I'd want to get to a civil war of that nature between liberals and conservatives, because the liberals wouldn't stand, a chance, and it would just be a massacre. I'm also former military, so I know, and I met a lot of people from the Midwest. My nickname was New York, because I was like the only guy from New York in there. And the time I spent just in basic training alone to get an idea of how people really are and how they really live in rural America. And I mean, guns like, it's like baseball bats, or soccer balls, or, they have all the guns, they have all the ammunition, they have the training. I think the libs might want to ease back on talk of civil war. It's just, again, we just want people to understand that at this point in time, it's definitely in your vested interest, I feel, to be more open, like I say, to be more enlightened, to not so much what's the argument at hand, but how about we get beyond that and look at what's the cause of the argument? What is and why is that being formed, and why is that being shaped, especially by the media? You could also look at it from the perspective, okay, maybe they know that something's on the horizon, maybe some event that has to do with the solar minimum. It could be something from outer space. We don't know. They have the technology. They have the telescopes. They're not telling us anything. So with that, maybe there is a possibility that it's kind of, already they know something's on the horizon, and maybe it's in a best kind of way to get people to really be at each other's throats like a fever pitch when something goes down, because then that way it's a real easy way to kind of step in and basically turn the whole country into a police state. That being said, I don't know exactly how many people are actually going to show up for work if something as devastating as a massive event, something from outer space, some type of weather event, if something happens to a power grid. So I wouldn't really depend on that. So again, I just feel that people should, at this point in time, definitely focus more within, try to, be, just who you can be and the best person you can be at this point in time. As bad as things may be getting, it's still not an excuse to not strive to be a better person, a great person. Like myself, I'm a Christian, and I try to do things that are definitely beneficial to other people, and I'm not contributing to all this negativity and angst, because I don't see that in any shape or form as being any positive or a way to, get your point across. I'm not a right fighter. I'm more of a stats guy and a science guy, so I tend to err on the side of, okay, I let the crazies be crazy. I don't care what side you're on. But once you start expounding things and calling people Nazis and this, that, the other thing, you've completely lost me. I won't have anything to do with that.
Right. So I think we have to ask ourselves too, like, in order to get to that point of civil war, there would have to be some sort of major event. And so what would that look like? It would, what came to my mind right now was just, it would have to be something in which, maybe they tried to or did impeach Trump, and then he wouldn't step down or something like that. And I think the whole thing would be orchestrated, whatever it was.
I would see it more even drastic than that. Is because of this fever pitch mentality amongst and I'll just say it, some of these people are just straight up nut jobs. They're just, and they're getting worse and worse. I'm witnessing it here, because, I live in New York. So it's like, these people, they're in such a bubble, and it's so easy to then just, you're preaching to the choir to the 10th hour. So, there's no opposition. So So everybody's just chiming in and chiming and chiming, and they're all trying to out-chime each other. And so it's a fever pitch. It just keeps building and building until you essentially are going to get like some nut job who shot at the police, or, you're going to get somebody who's going to try. Personally, if they attempted to assassinate the president, that would be grounds for, without a doubt in this country, a civil war. So as much as these people, and I literally, in my daily life, and this is from regular people, even, women, they say things and they comment, oh, why don't somebody just kill Trump? And I just look at these people and they say things like that, and I say, do you even have any idea what the repercussions of something like that would be? And you may be saying it in jest, but to me personally, to want somebody to die, to me, creates such negativity and brings negativity to yourself, so I don't think that's a good thing karma-wise, and I just feel that, people really need to step it back. It's okay, you can be angry, you can be upset, but guess what? We live in a world, it's funny how certain people want to act like other groups are being barbaric because of certain types of policy within the government, but then those very same people will say things that are just as barbaric in defense of their position against this person or against these policies. So that's not helping. That's not going to get us anywhere. That's just going to get us into a whole heap of trouble. And like I say, personally, thankfully, I'm beyond all that. I don't get caught up in it. I live a great life. I live a wonderful life. Successful at what I do. Very happy, in tune with nature. And these are the things that I try to get across to people. Listen, stop focusing on all that negativity and stop getting so wound up and angry, because it's like a cancer. You keep that inside and it eats you up. It's not good for your health. It's not good for anyone.
No, it's not, and that's the thing. We got to focus on the positive, and be aware of everything, but let's focus on the positive, and stay focused on it, because we can manifest that. And I want to thank you for calling in again, CJ. It's always great to talk to you, and I'm gonna let another caller come through. But as always, I love conversing with you, my brother.
All right, Mike. You have a great night.
You too. Take care. Hello, and thank you for calling in. Who do we have with us?
This is Tirso, Tirsoh, from the comments you might have seen.
Hi, well, nice to be speaking with you. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about positivity, because there's a lot of things going on right now, and there's a lot of things that are going to be going on right now. I think, though, if you look at the last 10,000 years, things just happen when they need to happen. You look at wheat. It used to stay like going out into the wind when a wind blows it. You couldn't farm that. But if you look 10,000 years ago, wheat, corn, rice all came into being right when we needed them, just magically. Corn used to be teosinte. If you tried to bite it, your teeth would break. And yet suddenly, right around 10,000 years, everything's just happened. This isn't an accident.
No, are you getting at the fact that we live in an ant farm?
Yeah, I mean, essentially we've had help. I know me and you might differ in who helps and how, but the point is that this is not random. It's going to seem random. If it didn't seem random, then we wouldn't learn anything from it. But it is not random. We got the things as we needed them in the past. Our civilization grew. We got to the point we are at, despite the fact that we have a really crazy cabal with the ancient mystery religions trying to kill us and enslave us the whole time, yet we have the internet, we have the ability to talk with each other, we have these iPads. I mean, you take the iPad and the internet, for example. They were being told that, hey, look, you can spy everybody. Their mouths were drooling over how much data they collect over you and me. But joke's on them. It's a tool that we can use to talk with each other and become enlightened.
For sure. And you know, we could see what we're doing with it tonight, you know, so definitely a double-edged sword for them and for us. And I agree with you too. I mean, it becomes so obvious that, you know, there's been so many cultures here on the planet. There's been so many different civilizations that, you know, they go to a high level and they're totally wiped out, and then there's a little remnant left over and it starts over again. And so it really does look like we are, you know, in a test tube. You know, we're living in an ant farm. We're being watched for sure and experimented on. And it's just so obvious when we start listening to all the different mythologies around the world, all the different indigenous people. I mean, they come straight out and they talk about star brothers and sisters, you know, and describe different types of beings that come down, whether it's in Peru or Australia or in Africa or North America or, you know, you name it. There's all these different legends, you know, and they all are saying the same sort of thing. So it's pretty obvious.
Tests are for a reason. Tests are here to help gather data. Data is collected for a reason. What is happening with the tests and with the data, there's many, many things, one of which is the slow improvement of the genome. I know that you've talked about the sun messing with the DNA and this and that. It's not the sun messing with the DNA. The many tests, the many different things that have gone on, there's been an insane amount of data collection. And I'm going to tell you, yes, you're on the right track with the DNA changes. There are more that are coming, but science has a role in this too. The data that is collected is helped to take things and make it to the next level. Like, you take psychopaths. Psychopaths are there for a couple of reasons: biological or experience trauma-based. And if you take out the biological over the long term, then that is one thing you can do. But how do you take DNA and alter it? But with lots of amount of data. I mean, you can have 3, 5, 10, 100 people say, hey, that's not fair, I like that. You have to collect the data. You have to get that. There you go. And that's when the DNA changes happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to go on this too much, but that's one of the big things that's going to happen at long term. Short term, I've said numerous times, mainstream media is going to awaken fall and winter. Fall or winter, you're going to start to see a crazy more amount of things happening with nature coming up. And I don't want to go over this a bunch more, but the point here is, in order to awaken, we have to be outraged. In order to be outraged, we need to see bad things that have been done to us. We have to come to a conscious decision of being outraged enough to say, hey, I'm not going to take it anymore. The point is, we're not going to be destroyed. The point is that we need to realize that we will destroy ourselves if we don't watch it. And once we collectively realize that, and the bad apples are taken out, at that point, we then are capable of taking the next step. And over the past 10,000 years, there's been ups and downs, but we've been taking the next step, and we're going to do that. There's no question, there's no doubt. We will do that.
All interesting thoughts for sure, and I agree with a lot. So now you had said that we might not agree on the source. So I mean, do you think it's extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or are you thinking demons and angels?
There's one thing that you have to be aware of, is that the details are not important right now. The details are things that could be used against us. The important thing is that we will have the opportunity and we will get it. You and I both, after this life is done, will be able to go and see exactly what the carpet will look like, or the grass will look like, or the wall color. And I don't want to alienate lots of people telling them this is how it is. And I don't know any other way, because I've seen the other side. I know who it is. I know those who are in the councils. I know how the councils work. I know how the laws work. And that sounds completely insane. But I've seen so many miracles in my life and so many things that I just don't know how to phrase it any other way. But hopefully we can all come together and just realize that whatever is out there they have our backs. But this confusion, it's for a reason. We have to have some bit of confusion, at least until the really negative people are out there, or else they'll latch onto it and use it for bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to formulate exactly how you're seeing it, but I do think it's good to be labelless, because you can definitely ostracize one group or another, and sometimes it takes a while before people come to their own conclusions, especially when we've been brought up just in one particular mindset. And
it's on purpose.
Right.
If you divide people, then divide and conquer.
Exactly.
And one of the things about religion is that's been put into religion by the corrupt people. Into every religion is an element of divide and conquer, when we all know that Christianity is at its heart supposedly a peaceful thing. That's not an accident.
Right, and just like if what we have is true, and then when Christ came, he was very upset with all the people that were the religious leaders of the time, and we know what he did with overturning the tables and how he felt about the whole situation. So obviously he wasn't happy with the status quo, and if there was to be a second coming, he wouldn't be happy with the status quo again. So we have to realize that, and for sure, it's right in there. If you look at the Tower of Babel, it basically says, "Look, mankind is united; they are all as one. What couldn't they accomplish because they're united? Come, let us go down there and scatter them, divide them, confuse their languages, and put them into different groups, and then we could control them." And it's right in the Bible that is stated. So I don't understand how people can't look at that and just see that is, divide and conquer right there.
Well, I was in a relationship that was the worst thing that I've ever been through, ever. I never really believed in, I knew that people manipulated each other, but I really didn't know or understand it. I understand it like crazy now. And if you don't know the choices in front of you, you don't have the freedom to be able to choose one thing or another. You do what you think you know, but what you think you know is certainly not what you will know once you get enlightened. And that's something that those that manage this whole awakening know very well. It is not just sort of a random thing that's happening. It is managed. There are people that are managing it, and beings that are managing it. And one of the things that we will see is enough craziness to make it feel like a roller coaster. Maybe people think that it's this and that, and it's crazy, afraid, this scary thing's happening. But when there's more stuff to worry about, we tend to not worry about the small stuff. If we're worried about all these natural events coming, then we're not going to sweat the small stuff. And that's really when you see the natural events ramping up and know they've not ramped up yet, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why.
Yeah, it's still interesting that so many people that just watch the mainstream news channels are unaware of all the earth changes going on around the world, even though we're seeing all the local, NBC, ABC news channels. They got to report on the floods and everything that's happening, and they are. And yet, when you go to like your main, CNN and Fox and stuff, it just seems like it's getting glanced over, and they spend so much time on anything that's really divisive. They focus in so much on the political thing and the social unrest, and they try to create like race wars and everything like that. And when I don't know,
the corruption's not broken yet. This fall, you should see the corruption start. Well, fall or when, I don't know exactly, but that is the next step that has to happen. That will happen. Mark my words, it's going to happen. The corruption is going to start. This is a ramped up, phased program, and so every single year it gets more interesting. And so when that's starting to happen, you're going to get more honesty, and slowly but surely, in roughly the same time frame, over the next year, 2, 3, you're going to see the natural events come too. This is meant to be that way so that people have time to wrap their heads on them, so they don't get overwhelmed, and so that we have the ability to get together as a people and really absorb all this. That's the point. But when this happens that way, don't worry, the mainstream media will catch on, but it has to be a struggle. If we didn't get fooled, then we wouldn't be outraged that we were fooled.
So what do you see as the end game?
End game is we need to understand that we are responsible for our own behaviors. We need to understand that there are certain procedures for coming together and deciding on the best course of action. There's certain procedures that we need to take to make sure that corruption doesn't happen. It's not about whether you're left or right ultimately. It's about how you come to the table. It's about how you don't take science and strip it of everything you want to, just so that you can make corporate profits. It's about how we do things so that we can make sure that we objectively come to the best decisions while not forgetting the core values that we all need to agree on.
Yeah, ultimately we have to get into a more harmonious relationship with the planet and each other. That's really the thing that needs to happen. And this whole corporate society that we've had, as you said, one of greed and just not caring about anything, not caring about nature, not caring about each other. I was just showing in my last video I did a fracking zone, and I was amazed, as I'm panning out all the wells that are recent, all on the border of Colorado and New Mexico. And all these things, it's not good for the environment, and ultimately it's going to bite us in the butt. And we're seeing it with that increasing earthquakes as well. So some of the areas that were safe zones or would be safe zones are not going to be safe at all. And there's so much going on that really feels like it's intentionally being done by these people that...
It is. Yeah. I mean, you have to remember that lifter reactors are not just some sort of pipe dream that somebody came up in their basement. Lifter reactors, liquid fluoride thorium reactors, are just one of many technologies that were shelved or mothballed. It burns nuclear waste as fuel. It burns with so much more efficiency than traditional. It's ridiculous. And yet you take lifter reactors and they were mothballed. They weren't even used because they can't come up with nuclear fuel for bombs as a part of their process. Well, I mean, not to get sidetracked, but the point is, we are told that we are ruining this planet, that it's our hungry American lifestyle that is at fault, and that we are just greedy people. The reality is we are very smart, we are very good at adapting and figuring out problems, and we have figured out lifter reactors. There was a thing I saw about taking fuel rods and rejuvenating them for use up to 20 times. I don't know all the things, but we came up with these problems when we're not hurt by the people in control. They want this planet destroyed. They are twisting the narrative. We are a people that are very smart and very capable of change, and we will get that change when having an opportunity. We will get that without having to just be really poor. I mean, we can't just go through resources like water, but we will be able to do it. People want to be sustainable. People want to eat healthy. We just need to have the opportunity, and it will come.
Right. Well, that was a very interesting call. I want to thank you for your time and sharing all that with us, and I hope you'll join us again in the future, too.
Yeah, always. There's always my channel. I'm the odd one, but if you ever need anything, just let me know.
Thank you so much, my friend. Namaste.
Yeah, okay.
So that was a great call as well. So we got an open line right now, guys. 614-400-5835. Give a call and let's see what you guys want to talk about. So, there we go. Thank you for calling in. And who do we have with us?
Hi, Michael. It's Therese.
Hey, how are you, Trace?
Well, I got to tell you a funny story. yesterday I decided to go to the doctor about what I did. I'm good.
Well, I'm glad you're good. So you went to the doctor?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the phone because I shut off the TV. But anyway, I went to the doctor, and the doctor tells me that I should be in the hospital because of my heart problem.
Right.
Hold on a minute.
Sure.
Obviously, it didn't go off. Okay. So anyway, I said to the doctor, well, I'm not going to the hospital. That's not an option. And so the doctor said, well, then you have to go see a heart specialist right away because I can't be a good doctor and let you walk out of here in the condition you're in. So I said, okay. I said, but you know what? I drive a golf cart. So whatever doctor I go to, that'd be pretty close. So she went out and she talked to the girl in the front, and they called around, found a doctor about 11 miles away, and said you have to get there in a half an hour. And I said, I'm in a golf cart, which means that I can't drive on roads that are more than 35 miles an hour. So it's a circuitous route that I have to take. So, and it's 108 degrees, okay?
Right.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so she's worried that I'd be in a hospital, but I can drive for 45 minutes an hour in 108 degrees. But I thought, you know what? I'll do it. I mean, if that's what's going to make you happy, that's what I'm going to do. So I drive there, and it's the wrong address. They moved. So
Jeez.
After like 45, 50 minutes, I'm getting to the wrong address. I look at a sign that's on the door saying, oh, this practice has moved. This is the new address. I go out. It's like really hot out. I'm feeling like, oh my God, this is a bad idea. But, I'm too deep into it at this point. So I drive to the other office. I walk in, I sit down, and the person at the desk says, can you come up here? I said, no. And she said, well, I need to see your card. And I said, I just drove you here in 108 degree weather. I said, it took me over an hour. I said, and right now I can hardly breathe, let alone get up and give you my card. So she said, oh, we've been waiting for you. I said, yeah, well, I went to the wrong place. So then the cardiologist comes in and wants to do, certain tests, which is fine. But I thought to myself, if I'm sick, and if somebody is worried about the fact that, I could possibly be so sick that I should be in a hospital, why are they putting me in a golf cart at 108 degrees to go see a doctor?
Right.
So by the time I got home, I had gotten to the PCP at 11 o'clock. By the time I got home, it was 5, and I was still alive. And I thought to myself, no, if I can survive this, I must not be in that bad shape.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I would normally not drive around in my golf cart in that temperature. And ever since I came home yesterday, and it took me like about an hour to cool off because I was so overheated. But when I got home, I thought to myself, you know what? I don't think I need any medical intervention Because if anything would have killed me, that would have been it.
Right. Yeah, and there's been so many stories I've heard with the mainstream medical that system, that basically, you're really taking your life into your own hands, and so often putting your hands in their life, putting your life in their hands. It's just, there's so much screwed up with our system. It just, it's kind of beyond repair, I think, the system. But, part of the problem is just even with diagnosing and telling you, you have this. And if you truly believe that, and they tell you you have 3 to 6 months, it's really kind of the mental death sentence, and it's not the way things should really be handled, because it's all about intention, and we have to stay positive and see ourselves heal, see ourselves visualize ourselves being healthy and strong, and then just do those things that are going to help us achieve that. But I think really so much of the mainstream medical industry is really just about profits. It's very sad. They want to take x-rays time and time again. They just had x-rays. They want more x-rays. Do these tests, that test, because you could bill the insurance company for this one and for that one. And I do speak from experience with it. I was in that industry for 4 years, exposed to it. So you see what kind of goes on. And it's very sad. I think we need to, and we are really going back to a more holistic approach. More and more people go to see naturopaths and, things along those lines, as opposed to just running off and taking pills, as needed to just mask symptoms.
Right. Yeah, well, I had gone off heart medication because it was bothering my stomach. And I decided, you know what? I would rather have AFib than to not be able to, eat without being in pain for 8 hours afterwards.
Yeah.
So, and I sun gaze, so I don't usually eat very much. But, I put like 3 bites of food in my mouth, and I was bent over in pain for 8 hours.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? It's not worth it to take this medication and to have that side effect, which is worse than the problem.
Well, we've seen.
I'd rather be safe.
Yeah, we've seen the corporate ties between all these companies, Monsanto to some of the pharmaceutical companies, how they're tied together, and it's all tied together, and it's so much of it's just one big money-making thing going on. They want people on as many drugs as possible. It makes a lot of profit. So why not give you a drug that's going to cause another issue that you're going to need another drug for, and then that drug's going to cause another issue that you're going to need another drug for. So pretty soon you're taking dozens of pills and spending tons of money. And that's the cycle that we're in. But you mentioned sun gazing. So how long have you been doing sun gazing?
It's 6 years.
Wow. Okay. Do you do it in the morning or at night there? Or both?
Well, I have to do it right now in the morning because by the time this...
Are you still there, Therese? I think we may have lost Therese. Still there, Therese? Okay, well, we lost her with the connection, but she was talking about sun gazing. And yeah, sun gazing is super cool, and it's something that anybody can do. And generally, we'd recommend just doing it right when the sun is rising up. Just do it maybe 5 minutes as it's coming up, or 5 minutes as it's going down, and with the intention of pulling energy into you. And it's very powerful, and it will open up your pineal gland. Thank you for calling in. Who do I have with me now?
Daniel Clark.
Hey, how you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing all right. Not burned to death in the middle of the heat dome, and haven't gotten washed away yet.
Well, that's good.
So all in all, I think things are going all right.
And what would you want to talk about tonight? And could you lower your radio in the background or the computer?
Hey, is that on?
Yeah, I can hear an echo. I think.
Hold on, let me try this.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, good. Yeah, my Bluetooth device, because of where I'm at, I'm on top of a bunch of quartz deposits, and it kind of scrambles everything Bluetooth in this house.
Ah.
And the town. Like, you can get a cell phone signal almost everywhere but here, and there's a tower, like, within a mile in either direction.
Ah. So.
But yeah, I live, like, right at the base of the Red River. And all these storm stuff that have been passing through, we pretty much dodged every one of them. Like the Red River, everything bounces over. It's really weird, and then it turns into tornadoes and stuff over towards Oklahoma City.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy with the weather, but it's good that you've dodged it.
Yeah, I mean, the most we've gotten was like one little hailstorm, and everyone around us in every direction has gotten like 2 and 3 inch hail and the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about moving away from this town because it's like rapidly becoming a ghost town, but you're shielded from the weather, so that's the conundrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider for sure. I mean, the storms are getting way more intense. The thunder and the lightning has been just amazing down here, and also the winds. I mean, just the winds. We're seeing incredible winds coming through.
Well, what gets me is how low all the storms are getting now. Is that you look at it like, especially all the thunders or whatever, not the tornadoes, but the water spouts. They're like barely even off the ground, and hardly anybody's talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been wild. I don't know if you saw the picture of the 3 of them that was on a video, I think from yesterday I did. Just amazing. I mean, what we're seeing is just incredible, the changes going on.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary from 1988 last night about the climate, and back in the 80s they were like, oh, unprecedented flooding, unprecedented cold, harsh winters. And back then they were freaking out. I didn't even know that because I wasn't born until 85. And I had no idea that things have been on a progressive downward spiral for a long time now. And they've had it figured out all this time. And of course it's, oh, we can make the storms go away, but we need all your money. You know, it's the usual tactic of the government and the UN and everybody else. But you know, just looking around at it, I don't know how much longer things are going to keep going, you know, like, when's it going to finally cross that gap where the writing's on the wall and everybody knows we're all screwed one way or the other. You know, some people might lose everything, some people might just barely get a scratch, but everybody's going to be feeling it.
Well, I find it interesting. I mean, I'm in contact with a lot of people that have that in my opinion are pretty good sources from diverse backgrounds, and what I keep getting from everybody is really consistent, that we're going to see a major uptick in things around 2021, and then the big stuff really hits about 2024, and then it makes sense with the Agenda 21 numbers, and you know, we're 2025, the world is just different. You know, there's major changes, major population losses. So I think it's going to be, we're in the beginning of the ramp up, you know, but I think the shit hitting the fan really starts in earnest about 2021, and then by 2024 things are, you know, just completely different. And hold on to your hats, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what really gets me about this year is that the flash floods, like, I've been watching videos, and it's a little bit morbid of people getting caught in the flash floods. And I've seen video after video of people like jackassing around, like, oh, look, I'm dancing in front of an oncoming wall of water and trees. And they think it's coming slow, and it's coming really, really fast, and they get trapped in the middle of it and end up getting swept away. And a few of them actually end up surviving, and you look at it, you're like, how could anybody come back out onto the surface of that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, we saw that in Guatemala with that volcano, because, I mean, the locals, you know, who are familiar with it, they were just looking at it like, oh, it's doing it again, and they're just doing their selfies and stuff, and then they got wiped out. I mean, they weren't able to get away in time. So, yeah, just a different level.
Well, I mean, what gets me about it is that there's so many things going on that you can't chalk it up to anything but just textbook mass hysteria. People totally abandoning their sense of survival, and people, you know, getting in a mad rages over, oh, my guy didn't get in office, or my woman, whatever, and burning down the town. And they end up basically releasing their anger onto their own neighborhood and burning down their own shit, and think that somehow they're getting ahead. I mean, it is total mass hysteria.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Somebody has said that we are basically like, you know, frogs or lobsters that are in a pot of slow boiling water. Exactly. That really is it. That's where we're at right now, and really the heat is still on low, even though it doesn't look like it when we look at the news and we see what's happening. It's going to increase. And
I remember back in 2012, whenever there was all those deep cracks that formed in Texas and southern Arkansas and stuff, where it got so dry the earth split open, and a square bale got to where it was like $45 for a square bale of hay. And you know, how much more is it going to take before people realize that, you know, I don't know. I keep juggling around the thought in my head, like, can we come back from this? Or is it going to end up that a lot of people are going to have to die in order to put things back on balance? I'm not saying make them die or anything like that. Don't misunderstand me, but, you know, reading Revelations, you know, thirds of the earth dropping dead. And, you know, the other day they were saying that down in Antarctica it got down to like negative 144.
Right.
And it really makes you wonder sometimes, is space coming to Earth?
Well, I don't know if you've seen, and I haven't touched on this in a while, but with the pole shift and everything, that's a scary part of it. We have seen in the past that we lose an awful lot of oxygen during a pole shift, and you know, that's when a lot of extinction level events happen. So, you know, what is it going to be like, and are certain areas going to just, you know, not have enough oxygen to survive when when we have the magnetosphere down 50%? You know, there's people out there that have talked about this, like Ben from Suspicious Observers. I think I remember hearing David talking about it on Adapt 2030. You know, it's one of those kind of unknowns, but as you're talking about space coming down to us, or, you know, can you imagine if oxygen levels get that low? And that could be something that also did away the dinosaurs as well, because they were so much bigger than us. So if the oxygen, you know, level gets lower for something that big, there's no way they're going to survive.
You know, one time I was joking around with somebody. I was like, you know, we're going to end up being the scraggly, scarred-up giants, and the bug people are going to be the ones that are going to be the next phase of humanity. We're just going to be the old outcasts, like the giants in the Bible.
Yeah, it's all interesting. It's very interesting, and you know, all those legends. I mean, I don't know if people are aware. I keep meaning to just make a video about the giants, because there's so much there. You know, we've gotten so many bodies of these giants, all different sizes.
And megaliths.
Oh yeah, you know, I mean, there's footprints. Have you ever seen the footprint in Siberia?
Yeah.
It's like 6 feet long, a footprint, you know, in the rock, embedded in rock, and it's a perfect human footprint. And, you know, how it wasn't carved, you know. I think it's been dated back, millions of years.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one little rock house. It looked almost like a birdhouse, and it had a circular door in the front of it that was a perfectly cut circle in stone. Like, it made me think of like a kid's little model birdhouse, you make a wood shop, but it's made out of rock, and it has a perfectly circular hole cut in front of it.
Yeah, all very interesting thoughts. Well, I thank you so much for calling in and your call, and it was a pleasure talking to you. Hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, I kind of jumped into that with no plan whatsoever. I was like, you know what, I'm going to ring it and see what happens. And I was like, oh shit, he answered.
There you go. Well, I'm glad I did. Glad the timing was good, my friend.
All right, well, I'll catch you on the flip, dude.
Take care.
Oh, by the way, I got to tell you something before we go.
Mm-hmm.
I know what your name is now, but before I didn't. For the longest time in my house, I just referred to you as the king of the yoga man. And I don't mean that in any derogatory way, but just the way you talk and everything, it just makes me think yoga for some reason.
Well, that's all good. Not a problem with that. I'll take it.
No. Really calm. Want to make the calm atmosphere. Work on our meditation. Finding our chi and our inner peace. One of those kinds of personalities.
That is exactly what we need to do in these times.
All right, well, I'll let you go.
All right, my friend. Take care. Namaste.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Hello, and welcome to Evolutionary Energy Arts. Who do we have with us?
My name is Tom from Colorado.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. You got a very cool show.
Thank you.
Very neat. And if I could, I'd like to talk about going spiritually into the next level. Would that be cool?
Yeah, sure. That would be a great topic.
All right. I had never done it before. This was about a year ago. And I started meditating how to go out of my body kind of into the next level. And the first time I did it, I just was just comfortable, and I get into this level, and it's kind of like a blue screen, but there's like human figures, but they're not like how we're looking at figures, and they were all like this blue, shimmering blue. And they seem to be all like on a mission, going places, but I had a few stop and talk with me, and they don't talk like we do. You just talk through your mind. And I talked to one, and he seemed like he was military or something, and very well disciplined, very nice. Everybody was cool, but it seemed like they were all on their mission. All right, I came out of that, and a couple of days later, I wanted to try it again. So I did it, and this time I asked the Holy Spirit. I said I'd like to go back to kind of where I was, and kind of explore a little bit more. So I did, and this time there was like he leads me over to like a door, and this door, I open it and I look out, and it's like looking out. Well, maybe you can see a lot of things, but I'm kind of scared. I don't know. Not scared, but I'm uneasy with what's going on because it's new to me. And but I'm looking through the door, and I'm seeing different things that are kind of happening in the world, and why they're sort of happening is coming into my head. I get scared that time, and I go out, and I'm out of it. Now, the third time, this was a very interesting time for me. I'm now kind of learning how to get to that level. I think through my head and go upwards in the sky. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so, or into the next realm. Now, the Holy Spirit takes me to these other shimmering beings. Now, the first people that I saw, like on that blue screen, or the army of people, were all definitely people of different sizes and stuff. They shimmer and stuff. They don't look like we do, but you could definitely tell they're humans or people like us, and they're just living in like a different dimension, or they've lived before and now you see them in that dimension.
So are they beings of light, would you say? Shimmer like light shimmering?
Yes, and most of them are either blue or purple.
Okay.
The humans that I knew were people previously, or they still are, basically, they were like a light blue, shimmering, kind of like when you're looking at you can tell their outline, shoulders, head. You cannot see facial features, but you see, basic thing. So now the Holy Spirit, I go to the door, and this time I want to open that door and go in. I want to see what's going on. So I open the Holy Spirit takes me over to the door, and he takes me to two other beings that aren't like the people ones. And I'm going to call them, I'm comfortable just calling them like spirits, but they're just a different form of being. And they have, they're damaged from diabetes in my hands and feet, and they knew that. And so I walk up, and there's one on both sides. I walk up, and they're shimmering. They're more like a purple, and no distinction on male, female, or like human. They were just like these beings of shimmering light that was like a purple. And they all of a sudden, from their being came almost like the only thing I can describe it as is like their hands are coming out. They're healers. And they came out, and I have also problems breathing. They came out, and they went into my arms and into my hands and into my feet where I got the nerve damage. And they went into my lungs, and it was like they're shimmering through my body. It was really cool, man. And they worked on me for a little bit. It actually helped me the next day, and I still got damage and stuff, but I know that we can be healed through these people once we get to this next dimension. Then from those two spirits or entities, they led me to a female presence that was full of love. And as I walked up to this female presence, I don't know why I think it's female, but that's the feeling I got. And it was like almost like a champagne glass, but only huge. Like you're looking at the top of the glass, and it's as I walk under it, like a shimmering love came down upon me, and I have problems with women, and this female presence just gave me love, and it just felt wonderful what came through my body, and that was just like such a great experience, and I left that presence, and this is all in this one time that I went in, and I'm getting better at getting to that level, and I should do it even more than what I do. But when I do it kind of zaps my energy a little bit.
It can, and not to cut you off because we only have about 40 more seconds, but you know, it's interesting the way you describe that, because I've heard it described that way by other psychics as well. Barbara Brennan is a well-known healer, wrote 2 really good books. One of them is called Hands of Light. And on the higher levels and the higher dimensions, there are these beings, and they are beneficial beings that work through people in order to help heal them. So it's just, you know, there are these beings of light in the higher dimensions that do that. And I want to thank you for your call, caller. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, and you have a good night.
You too. Namaste, my brother.
All right, you too.
So I want to thank everybody tonight for the show. As always, much love and light and blessings to you guys, and we'll catch you again next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Namaste, my friends. Thanks for joining me.